Good evening. Good afternoon.
Presentation. Anthony used to work for our department, and so we always tell him, Anthony, you're the youngest one here. You gotta learn our history. So he did. He's very knowledgeable about our history. So we'll turn it over to him.
Hey, Chef guys. Hey. Well, a lot of you guys know me. My name is Anthony. My Cheyenne name is Sunroad. What I like to do is learn about the Cheyenne history ever since I was little, and I really took to the Cheyenne history. And this battle really I didn't know there was a lot of battles that went on besides the Battle of Little Bighorn when I was little. So I took to a lot of studying to these battles and talked to my grandparents, and they all had people in those grandparents in those battles. So I listened to their stories, and it drew my curiosity, made my curiosity even bigger to where I started reading other books, other authors, and a lot of times they had other, stories, but then I always collate them, tried to figure out where they all fit each other. A lot of stories match up with what the others said. But this battle, it marked the end of the Cheyennes' resistance against the 7th Cavalry and the U.S. encroachment. Before the Battle of Little Bighorn, 3 months before, over there on the Powder River, over by Broadus, the Cheyennes were attacked. There were 60 lodges and they were attacked. They're called an Old Bears Camp. The U.S. government thought that was Crazy Horse's Oglala, so they decided to attack them, but when they attacked, they found out it was a Cheyenne village. There, the Cheyennes, they fought off most of the day. They were able to retrieve a lot of their horses, everything back, and then they decided that they were going to go to the Oglala, Crazy Horse's Oglala, which was just over a couple of hills. They went there, and Crazy Horse said that he wanted to know what happened because they all missed the order from the government saying that all tribes should report to the reservation by January 1st, otherwise be considered hostile. Due to snow, none of these tribes up here in Montana got that message, but so they were attacked, and they didn't know where they were attacked. But the Cheyennes, they decided to go see Crazy Horse to see what happened, and their Crazy Horse didn't know there was an order out. So Sitting Bull was camped up there by Ikalaka, and the Cheyennes said, well, we're gonna follow you, Lakota, you guys, we're gonna go up with you guys. So they wanted to see what Sitting Bull had to say about what was going on. And there, his runners came in, told him the order, and he said, well, we're just gonna stay out here because, this is our reservation. These are our lands. And what happened is, he said, well, the Cheyenne, they were already, they didn't have no lodges. They were kind of, homely poor. They just now got attacked and lost all their lodges. And some of their relatives were coming in from from the agencies because they heard what happened, and it kind of got them mad, They wanted to go support the Cheyennes that were out there still holding that resistance. They came out, and the Cheyennes said, well, we're going to go to the Bighorns. We're going to go replenish our lodges and our poles. And Sitting Bull said, well, we'll follow you guys. We'll do rear guard. So they came around this way, and along the way, the army was looking for them. And all that happened up along the creek. Remember the Battle of Rosebud, Battle of the Bighorn. All of that happened. But the Cheyenne, at that time, they decided that they were going to go into the Bighorn Mountains. And Sitting Bull went to Canada. Crazy Horse and the Cheyennes, they stayed together all the way against the mountains, all the way down into Wyoming. And then there, the Cheyenne, they decided that they're going to stay high in the mountains where it's kind of secluded. And that place that they camped is real nice. It's an ideal place for winter camping. It has a lot of wood. It shields you from the north wind. There's streams that they said that flow all year long. They're warm springs, so everybody has their water, and it's a good place to camp. But the Cheyennes, they decided that they're going to go up there and camp. And during that time, each society had their own policies. They're all policing. They had their own duty. At this time, I think it was one of the other societies. One of the societies, they policed it until it was up their time to give up their duty, and then let the next society come through. And at that time, it was the Kit Fox Society. They decided that they were going to go raid the Shoshone and try to get some of their plunder, some of their loot. And in that time, there was an old man named Box Elder, and he kept having visions. He said, you guys, there's soldiers in the area. he was getting these visions, these dreams, and he said, everybody should stay. But that war leader, he really wanted to go and, just plunder the Shoshone. He had a hate in his heart for the Shoshone. And so he took his society and he headed out. And the Cheyennes there, they decided that they were gonna, they weren't policing yet. They went to go hunt or go wage war on Shoshone, but the main Cheyennes there, they were still under the guard of the other society. It was either the Kitfox or the Elks or one of the, other societies, but it wasn't the Kitfox. But there they all decided to start getting ready for war, went up on the hillsides, made their breastworks, which are essentially foxholes, but they're above the ground, to shoot them from bullets. So they went up there and they started making up their defenses, and the cavalry, they thought it was Crazy Horse's Oglala again, and they decided to start, making their way up into the mountains, and there they captured some Cheyennes that were captured with them, and they said, "Can you help us go and talk to Crazy Horse's people?" And the Cheyennes said, "Yeah, we can," but on their way there, they got word that it was their own people that they were going against, and there they automatically tried to get out of it. They told their commander that they couldn't fight their own people; it's against their own traditional laws. Cheyennes can't kill another Cheyenne. They said, "We can't do it," but the army said, "Yep, you guys are still going with us as prisoners now." So they took them with them, and then the Kitfox, they were still raiding the Shoshone, and it was a victory. But to me, in my heart, it wasn't really a victory because the plunder that they brought back kind of hurt my heart. Knowing that your own men did that, and they came back with their victory, and they wanted to celebrate. They said, "We're going to celebrate everybody," and they seen everybody up there building their breastworks, and then that other society, they gave up their duty, and they said, "All right, we're giving it to you guys now." So the Kitfox put on their their policing mentality. They went up onto the hills and cut all those, chased everybody off the hills and said, "Go into that. We're gonna have a victory dance." And the Cheyenne said, "No, there's soldiers in the area. We can't dance right now." And he said, "Well, we're policing right now. You guys." They shot some horses. They cut the cinches of others, but they chased everybody off the hillside and into the camp. And a lot of them were mad, but they decided to dance. It was a victory for that society. And meanwhile, the soldiers were making their way up, and during the night, they said that they heard drums, boom, 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 in the hillside, and it was the Cheyennes having their victory dance. And the North Brothers, they had, I think, about 400 scouts. All of them were Shoshone. Many of them were from that band that the Cheyenne just now attacked. They were scouts. So those Shoshone, there was some Pawnee, there was some Iroquois, some Lakota, and then the Cheyennes that they actually captured. They still included them as scouts, but even though they were, held against their will to fight their own people. And then they decided to attack. And the Shoshone, they got word from their relatives just now coming back from that the Cheyenne attacked their people. And a lot of them were kids, women, children. They just took everything. They were mad. They were on a rampage because of the battles before, the Cheyenne just had that. They always said they were mean. But the Shoshone, they came back and they told their people, they said that these people attacked our people. We followed their trail here. And then so it got them pissed off, and the Shoshone, the army, they initially wanted to have peace talks with the Cheyenne. But when the Shoshone found that out, they decided to attack. The Shoshone disregarded the U.S. orders and got trigger happy. And see, both groups, there's a bigger group. Both little groups thought they were bigger than the program. They decided to attack the main body of Cheyenne. This group attacked the Shoshone. It was just all out a misunderstanding. Anyways, they attacked the Cheyenne. The first one to pass away, I think it was Don Knife's son. He came out to get his horse, and when he seen dust coming, he started to shoot, and they gunned him down. Everybody just started waking up. Everybody was going to sleep because of that victory dance. They said women were tying their daughters' hands together, as out of chast. They were dancing and, having a good time. And as soon as that victory fire went, they call it hot, that victory fire, it started going down, and the first shot started ringing out. and everybody kind of got, didn't know what was going on. Uh, for me, I thought maybe it was probably like they thought it was still victory dancing, hearing gunshots, but a lot of them were confused, and the army just started attacking. They realized they couldn't get in front of the Shoshone. The Shoshone were already, firing into the village, and they said what realized it was going to be an all-out battle is when the Shoshone brought out their war whistles, and they heard their war whistles on side of the hill, and the Shoshone came down. So that's when the Cheyenne said that they actually had to get ready for battle. So that's when they all started fighting. It was an all-day battle. The Cheyenne were able to fend off at least 1,000 cavalrymen with 300, 400 scouts. It showed their might that time because at that time they didn't have the Lakota to have their backs. So it was about 1,500 soldiers against probably about 700 warriors, 500. It was all-day battle. They kept going back and forth. It was one of the last times we had both of our covenants in the north. That was their main priority, was to get their covenants out of that valley. And it was a story that they said they watched through all the smoke and everything, like their groups going, our sacred hat going this way, and then our arrows going across. And then some people got sad because that was their power. A lot of them but they just kept fighting. And then towards the night, that old man who initially had that vision, his name was Box Elder, he did some medicine out there. Some women were up in that a little ravine, and they were trapped, some women and children, and a lot of those young men were trying to go and retrieve them, but they couldn't. And so what he did is he went over there, and they said they didn't know how he lit his pipe. He didn't have time to grab anything, but he lit his pipe, and it started smoking, and he prayed, and he went out there, and he started showing his medicine. And by the end of it, he grabbed his blanket and shook it out, and there was nothing but bullets, just red hardened blankets. And while he was doing that, the women and children escaped out of that ravine. Everybody made it up a lot of them made it up, but all day people were just going into that village trying to get what they can, back and forth. And then it started to snow, so everybody just sat there, and they realized that it was a loss, but they actually just were able to, repel that attack. It wasn't a loss. They didn't see it as a loss, but what really kind of made it hard on them was the fact that it started snowing. So they said, well, we have to go find Crazy Horse again. So they came over to Bighorn Mountains, and 11 babies that died that time. They were freezing. The men would go up, the warriors would go up, light a fire, go up again, light another fire, go up again, light another fire. And meanwhile, people were just coming in slowly, just refugees. They were tired. And there's stories of people freezing inside their, what was it, Wolftooth. Remember Wolftooth, they said? He's the ancestor of the Spings, but they said that he killed a buffalo and he put the fur on, but by the time he got there, he was so frozen that he couldn't get out of it. And I think that kind of made them laugh, kind of made them smile a bit. They talked about that was a funny moment when they were escaping. They made it back to Crazy Horse's village, and there he helped them back again. But I think with that battle, if they were able to just listen to each other, some communication, then maybe then they would have understood that there was enemies in the area. Always heed to your warnings, because all of that they could have survived, but they could have kept up the fight for their reservation, but ultimately they lost their village. We lost a bundle over there called the Corn Bundle, which we had since the Great Lakes time. They lost it over there, and I actually got curious. I asked the lady, I said, has any corn ever grown over here? She said no. I was like, man, but we did go and visit the site up there at Red Forks. The family by the name of Graves, they really like telling the story about it. They know the story, and they know each location of what, they really studied the site, and they said that they're going to keep it preserved. And then the breastworks are still up there too, the rocks. That's pretty cool. We did a project over there where we marked it off. We want to be able to help that family if it ever came to it. But the Battle of the Dawn Knife, that was one of my favorite battles. It just showed how much they wanted to, keep continuing living as Cheyenne. Because we hear about Cheyenne Lakota, but this is one real battle where the Cheyenne actually showed their might against 4 companies of the cavalry. as well as 400 scouts. And many of the women were fighting too. Everybody was fighting. All the young people were fighting. They were just trying to make sure the grandparents and the babies were out. They fought to the teeth that day. So it's just, I was trying to figure out where my grandparents were that time, but I realized, we're all related, so we all had a grandparents that time. We just don't know who they are. We probably do, but we don't. But I just like telling the story. I like having that diagram over there because it just shows, and I'm just like pinpointing everything, And yeah, but I'm really glad Donna actually called me over to come and talk about this. History is one of my favorite topics, and I'm always trying to figure out how. Right now, one of my research is I'm looking into other tribes because they're curious about the Cheyenne, because after all these battles, the Cheyenne went quiet while the rest of the tribes talked about it. And the Cheyenne went quiet. Now all of them want to know how they're connected or why they're connected, or but the Cheyenne took an oath to be quiet about it for 100 years. And after the battle of this battle happened after the Battle of the Bighorn, but when they were attacking Donnice village, that's how they found out the Cheyenne actually participated in the Battle of the Bighorn. They found dollars, they found their coats, they found rifles, they found their clocks, money, little villages made out of dollars, for little girls that were playing. They found stuff like that. So that's how they found out that the Cheyenne actually participated in the Battle of the Bighorn. And then from there, the decision was made that they would be sent south. So then a whole new saga, a whole new episode in Cheyenne history of them coming north. It's a long history. The Cheyenne just fought and fought. So I'm really proud to always talk about this. It just makes me happy to talk about them because they deserve to be remembered, because without them, we wouldn't be here. And right now, one of my I'm researching this battle right here, the Battle of Lingdeer, because I want to know exactly where the battle site was. So I kind of think I know where it's at, but I'm not too sure. So, but thank you guys for listening to me. Still trying to learn to present, but I hope I was clear enough for you guys to understand. Yeah, any questions?
Did you say how many died at that?
They said 28 died actually.
Just 28?
Yeah, 28 because they were able to.
But yeah.
Yeah,
What the numbers were.
and a majority of them were young boys. They said there's a ravine right before they charged where a bunch of young boys, about 14, 15, they were able to get into that ravine, and a lieutenant by the name of Kinley, he was about to charge on the village, and that would have been the biggest charge. But when he was charging, he didn't see that ravine in front of him, and these boys jumped up and they ambushed him and dropped his first line. So that kind of helped a lot of people get out of the village. And yeah, it's a good story. If you guys ever have a chance to look up the Dawn Night battle, look it up, because that's one of our pivotal moments in our history where it was either do or die, survive, keep fighting, but ultimately they decided to surrender. After that, families were just leaving the main group, heading back to the agency, and by the end of it, I think 1,200 surrendered at Fort Robinson, and then they were all taken south. Any questions?
Where can we read about it?
There's books all over, and then down there at the Culture Center, there's a lot of books that are just sitting there, and a lot of it have stories. Yeah, and the diorama too. Yeah, the diorama's down there. It was gifted to the college by Ducote Museum. Yeah, so it has lights and stuff, but it doesn't work. But everybody always thinks it's the Battle of Little Bighorn, so it gives us a chance to tell them that story again. So.
What would that be? Would be the Battle of Donai?
Yeah, or the Battle of Red Forks. Yeah, Red Forks. Yeah, yeah.
Anthony, is there a list of names of family members that anywhere, or is that?
I know one name that pops up a lot is like the Little Wolf, Donne, the Wolf Tooth family. But after that, the families all just offshoot from a lot of them, and they just branch out. So everybody on the Cheyenne Reservation probably has somebody who was at that battle.
Had somebody
Yeah,
there.
because it was the last time the whole tribe got together for I guess majority of the Northern Cheyenne were in that valley that day. Yeah.
It was the Iron Teeth woman.
Yeah, and Iron Teeth woman, her story is pretty sad. She talks about how her the last time looking at her husband, he stopped to shoot at a soldier, and her son was pushing her away, telling her to get out of the village, but she went to stop for her husband. But when she looked back, he got shot and he dropped to the snow. And that's the last time she ever seen her husband. And her daughters and her sons got her out of that village as soon as she could. But she had kept a outcorn scraper, or a scraper, and she kept a notch for every year her kid lived after that. And she lost her oldest son at the Fort Robertson breakout. That woman lived a hard life in my eyes. She just seen a lot go on, and all her kids all died. What her daughters survived, but her sons, they all passed away. Well, the oldest one, correct? Gather his medicine. Iron Teeth Woman's son.
Gathering his medicine.
Yeah. He was one of the first ones to break out of Fort Robinson. But they seen a lot of that. That family, the Iron Teeth Woman, I think they're from the Ashland area. They seen a lot of what went on as far as the Battle of Dawn Knife, the Battle of the Wolf Mountains, the Battle of the Bighorn, the Fort Robinson breakout, all those battles coming with that old lady. She seen all of it, and she was able to bring her family through it. And her story is pretty tragic, but it's a story of her strength. And I really commend that old lady. I used to sit there and just read her books and just hear her narratives, and it just kind of makes you mad, like makes you want to go back in history and try to help defend them somehow. But that's history. But I don't know. I always get a loss of words every time I start thinking about it because my mind starts trying to jump, and I'm like, But yeah, Dawn Knife battle. I guess that's it. I hope I was clear enough.
Well, thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
We had gone out to visit that site. It's over by Casey, Wyoming, kind of south of here. But you go up into the mountains, and like he said, the family's name is Graves. That's their last name, and they've held that land for 5 generations. And apparently, they would have a lot of the historians and different people that want to write about that battle. They would come there and kind of go through that. And the family said they didn't realize that when the researchers would come, they would take a lot of the stuff that was left behind, like artifacts, and they would take them. Because they were so trusting of them, I guess. And it wasn't until somebody, I guess, Perry noticed that this guy had a trunk full of stuff that he was taking from that battle site, because I guess they still used to see a lot of stuff that was
bullet
left behind.
shells, some shells.
Yeah, and then up on the hillside where the women made their, where they were helping the men kind of shoot, the shell casings were still there. They were still left there, but now they're all gone. Yeah, but it's a really it's really good to go there. But the family for the last 3 years have not had it's private, and so when you go there, they do a tour.
It happens on the Battle of the Bighorn anniversary.
Yeah.
So June 25th, they have a tour out there too.
And you can sign up for the tour, and you have to pay. At that time, it used to be $75 per person, but we had gone there 3 times just because we just can't get enough of the story. We're so proud of our people for their endurance, for everything they went through. And so, but if you have a chance to, well, hopefully, a lady, I talked to her last year, and she said they might have it this year. Have it opened up again. So, but they get a lot of people from all over. They just kind of, and then what they do is they take you out to the sites exactly, because they know exactly what happened at each site, and they'll take you right out there. But when you go, you got to remember to wear good walking shoes, because you're gonna walk that battle. But
It gets hot out there too.
yeah, and it's really hot, and then they take you out to one side, and then where the actual battle was, they take you out there.
Oh, flatbed trucks. So
Yeah.
they have a hayride.
Yeah.
So.
It's really interesting to go there, and you just learn a lot about our history. Yeah, and I had never heard about that before, because because lots of times when my dad would talk about some of the battles, he would he didn't give you like dates and times, you know, like we do now. He would say
Mhm.
Hen Hill, that means over there, or it's Hill here, you know, like
Mhm.
that. That's how we. But yeah, with the history, you know, historians they were able to pinpoint the date and times. Yeah. So, but this battle was happened 5 months after the Battle of Bighorn. So it was on November 25th, which is today. Today's the date of that. It's 1876.
Mhm.
So that was the last, um, the major battle. Because after that, they had to. That following year, they had to surrender. When they
Mhm.
made their way down to, was it the Powder River?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they joined up with Crazy Horse.
And they're
So
crazy
Crazy
horses.
Horse took them in,
Yeah.
and because they lost everything. They
Mm.
lost all their clothing, their shelter, their food, everything, you know. So
Yeah.
it was.
It was
So
said that the Oglala Lakota cried when they seen the Cheyennes coming in, because they said that was the worst they ever seen them looking.
So devastated, you know, to run out and try to, you know, just run for your life in winter time, you know, and so I guess we pay homage to our ancestors that for their bravery, their courage, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions, but there's books that have been written about it. Um,
Mm.
the one I was talking, the one he was talking about was Iron Chief woman. She tells a really good story, and anyway, in that book is the name of it is the Cheyennes of Montana.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, Montana.
Anyway, and I can't remember the name of the author right offhand. He was a physician that lived here.
Grinnell?
No,
Not Grinnell.
that's a different one.
Yeah. Was it
What is it?
Hopewell?
Can't remember. But we used to have that book at our office, and it walked away.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, okay that somebody wants to read and know about it, so. But she tells her story about how she saw her husband laying there. She couldn't go to him. She tried to go to him, but her children made her go. And she always traveled with that Dolnife's family. So
Mm-hmm.
she went all the way to Oklahoma and then came back. She stayed with them. And then her son, gathering his medicine, was his name. I don't know how you would say that in Cheyenne.
Mm.
But he was a real brave young man. Yeah, but we have some treats here in case anybody wants to have some sweet to eat.
A sugar rush. Sugar rush. You guys better have. Yeah.